Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Iti Kritanushanga Asana Shayanatana Snana Nadishu Saha Mriga Jahuna Snehanubaddha Hridaya Asit.
Iti Kritanusang Asana Shayanatana Snanadishu Sahamriga Jahuna Snehanubandha Hridaya Asit.
Due to attachment for the deer, Maharaj Bharat lay down with it, walked about with it, bathed with it, and even ate with it. Thus his heart became bound to the deer in affection. Text 12. Kusha Kusuma Samit Palasha Phala Mulo Dakanya Aharishyamano Vrakashala.
Kusha Kusuma Samit Palasha Phala Mulodakanya Aharishyamano Vrikashala.
Vrakadibhyo Bhayam Asham Samano Yada Saha Harina Kunakena Vanam Samavishati.
Vrikadibhyo Bhayam Asham Samano Yada Saha Harina Kunakena Vanam Samavishati.
Yes. Would someone like to read this one?
May I read, Prabhuji?
Oh, go ahead.
Yes,
Go ahead, Mataji. Go ahead, Mataji.
Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. Translation. When Maharaj Bharat wanted to enter the forest. When Maharaj Bharat wanted to enter the forest to collect kusha grass, flowers, wood, leaves, fruits, roots, and water, he would fear that dogs, jackals, deers, and tigers, he would fear that dogs, jackals, tigers, and other ferocious animals might kill the deer. He would therefore always take the deer with him when entering the forest. Now Maharaj Bharat increased his affection for the deer as it is described herein. Even such an exalted personality as Bharat Maharaj, who had attained loving affection from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, fell down from his position due to his affection for some animal. Consequently, as will be seen, he had to accept the body of the deer in his next life. Since this was the case with Bharat Maharaj, what can we say of those who are not advanced in spiritual life, but who became attached to cats and dogs? Due to their affection for their cats and dogs, they have to take the same bodily form in the next life unless they clearly increase their affection and love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Unless we increase our faith in Supreme Lord, we shall be attracted to many other things. This is the cause of our material bondage. Thank you, Ji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Krishnera Bahirmukhaya Bhagavan Chakare Nikatestha Maya Tara Japati Adhare. See, Krishnera Bahirmukh. So here also the same thing. Maharaj Bharat was already situated in Bhav stage. See, he had attained loving affection for Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is the Bhav stage. At that stage also, one can fall down. Simple. Here in this case, it was very simple. He developed his affection for the deer. He had no need to do that. But he went on developing that affection. I mean, it's natural. A devotee feels affectionate towards all other living entities. In the Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna says that a devotee is a sort of friend to all other living entities. So it's completely, it's completely fine to feel affection for somebody. Yeah. Especially those who are in distress. But that doesn't mean that one binds himself to that condition. See, there is a very thin line between affection and attachment. So sadhus in due course of their journeys, because sadhus are wandering all across the world. I mean, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne. So a sadhu will naturally see Krishna. I mean, a sadhu will naturally see miseries of this world. Because this material world is miserable by nature. Sadhu will see the miseries of living entities. But that doesn't mean that sadhu should become bound by it. A sadhu should not wait. So just as I was discussing with Krishna Goswami the other day, same question. So he also answered the same question. that you see, as preachers, our duty is to engage everyone in devotional service. Our duty is to start everyone's spiritual life. Everyone will take bhakti in due course of time. We should provide all help. We should extend all the support that we can. But we should also understand that we are not the cause. That we are not going to be the cause of others' bhakti. We can give that seed of devotion, but we can't really force anyone to advance. So, Bahunam Janmanam Ante Gyanvan Nam Prapadyate. So, in our preaching also, we will see that many people are developing at different pace. We should not get disturbed by that, because that is also a sign of attachment, thinking ourselves to be the cause. So, we are not the cause. So, we have to be very particular. So, Maharaj Bharat, he felt compassion for the deer, and that was perfectly natural. I mean, if he wouldn't have felt any compassion, then certainly he would be very hard-hearted. That was natural. But he should have understood where to draw the line. He should have stopped at a time when he could. Because that's the nature of material world. Maya is very subtle. Maya is the very thin layering of ahankar on top of us. So here we see that even the so-called affection, even the so-called compassion of this material world is just a trick of Maya. Maharaj Bharat couldn't identify that, and he fell prey to it. So in our devotional service also, when we are dealing with devotees or when we are dealing with non-devotees, we have to be very careful. You know, many devotees, they become overcome with compassion. Oh, you know, my old parents, who will take care of them, or who will take care of my unmarried sister, or this or that or that. But one should understand that everyone has his own journey in this material world. We cannot wait for anybody else. We ourselves have very limited time here. If we use that time in being compassionate to others, then we'll end up wasting our own time. In this material world, who is the object of our compassion? Actually, everybody is. You may see Amitabh Bachchan or Narendra Modi and think that they are very fortunate people. No, they're not fortunate at all. They haven't got Krishna. They are also the object of our compassion. Because we don't have enough knowledge, we don't have enough purity, we're not able to see that. We have still some degree of envy in our heart, so we're not able to see how miserable they are. Meditate on this. This is how it is. We still have envy in our hearts. That's why we think that someone is happy in this world. Actually, no one. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Anyone who is in this world is actually miserable. So if we are feeling compassion for some hungry dogs on the street or our own child, we should understand that this is just lust. This is just misplaced compassion. A sadhu has compassion for all the living entities, including himself. He knows that unless he saves himself, he cannot save anybody else. So it's a fine balance. When Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati was taking out Vrindavan Yatra, at that time the Grahasthas refused to give money to the beggars. And Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur did not like that at all. So he was very angry. Said that, oh, look at these liberated Grahasthas, they will become materially contaminated if they give charity to the poor. So yes, acts of charity must continue, even supposedly mundane acts. But we have to maintain our consciousness. We have to see what is in for the long-term benefit. So especially devotees who have pets and all should be very careful. Devotees who have children, who have pets, they should be very careful. Because our compassion, like sometimes devotees say, oh, you know, my son is devotional, is progressing in devotional service. That attachment is only going to be poison for us. So we have to be very careful. Hare Krishna. Yes, any questions or comments here? Text 13. Pathishu cha mugdha bhavena tatra vishakta mati paranya pranaya bhara hridaya.
तो सत्य आदि भक्तिहा
कार्पण्यात् स्कंधेनो दहति एवं उत्संग उरसी चाधायो पलालयम मुदम परमाम वाप.
Kripani Kripani Skandha Vishnu Evam Uttang Urvasi.
Yes, would someone like to read?
Hey, read Prabhu.
Yes, please.
Hare Krishna, Janapanda. Citation Prabhupada Shri Prabhupada. Shri Prabhupada. When entering the forest, the animal would appear very attractive to Maharaj Bharat due to his childish behavior. Maharaj Bharat would even take the deer on his shoulders and carry it due to affection. His heart was so filled with great love for the deer that he would sometimes keep it on his lap or when sleeping on his chest. In this way, he felt great pleasure in fooding the animal. But what? Bharat left his home, wife, children, kingdom, and everything, as to advance his spiritual life in the forest. But again, he fell victim to the material affection due to his attachment to an insignificant pet deer. What then was the use of his renouncing his family? One who is serious in advancing in the spiritual life should be very cautious not to become attached to anything but Krishna. Sometimes, in order to preach, we have to accept many material activities, but we should remember that everything in Krishna is for Krishna. If we remember this, there is no chance of our being victimized by material activities. Hare Krishna Pranam.
Hare Krishna. So in the second chapter of Gita, Arjun is saying, Karpanya dosha bhat swabhava, prachhami tvam dharma sammudha cheta, yat shreyasyan nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam aprapannam. Now, very interesting. So the word Karpanya, if you see here, it appears in second chapter as well as here. So Karpanyat skandheno dvahati evam utsanga urasi. He carried him on his shoulder out of his affection. So Karpanya, the root word is kripana, miser, Kajus. So what is miserliness? Miserliness means aham mameti, I and mine. So in this material world, all our desires of possessiveness are actually Karpanya. They are Karpanya doshas. Dosha means weakness and Karpanya means miserly. So they are Karpanya doshas. So when we think, oh, this is my mother, my father, my son, my daughter, my home, or actually, even if we think myself, that is all coming under the category of Karpanya dosha. Miserly weaknesses, because they are not the reality. So the opposite of Brahmana or Kripana is Brahmana. What is Brahmana? Means one who Brahma janatiti Brahmana, one who realizes Brahma. Isha Vasyam idam sarvam, one who knows this. To know Brahma, to be Brahma Bhuta, to be Brahmana means to be Brahma Bhuta. And Brahma Bhuta means to know Isha Vasyam idam sarvam. So that is Brahmana. So if one has desire of I and mine, then one is not a Brahmana, one is a Kripana. So Maharaj Bharat here, he felt this kind of intense affection for the deer, intense attachment. So he would carry it here and there. So the question is, what was the use of renouncing the family? So Jagadanand Pandit is saying, oh brother, you have now become a Vairagi, you have become a sannyasi. Do not think of women even in your dreams. Do not eat palatable foods and do not wear nice clothes. You have left your woman at home. Now do not even think about Nari Sangam in your dreams. Because always remember the example of Chota Haridas in your heart. So the point is, we have renounced our family, we have renounced our society. Why then again become entangled? The whole purpose of sannyas was to become free. So why should one again become attached? And that's why sannyasis are advised not to stay in one place. Srila Prabhupada used to say that the 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they would not stay for more than 3 days even under one tree. They were constantly on the move. So we hear of Goswami temples in Vrindavan. Goswamis were not staying there. Radha Madan Mohan temple was not a permanent stay for Sanatana Goswami. It was just a passing by. He had just created that for the society. He himself never stayed there. So we have to understand, how to apply the principles of bhakti. So if we have already attained some level of detachment, we should not increase it any further. So if a devotee has already become a bit more advanced in bhakti, there is always a danger of falling down. Always. Padam padam yatripidam. Until we have seen Krishna face to face, until we have left this material world, we are always in danger. Even to the very limits of material nature, where there will be no birth and death, even there we are in danger. Maya can act at any moment. So no one should think that he is too renounced or too detached or too advanced. Nobody is. Everyone is living in the mouth of Maya. Maya can eat us up any moment she feels like. So if we remember this, sometimes in order to preach, we have to accept many material activities, but we should remember that everything is for Krishna. Ishavasyam idam sarvam yat kincha jagatyam jagat. We have to think to whom it belongs. The government officer does not take government property. The pilot of Air India will not take that plane home. Okay, now I have flown this Airbus, now this belongs to me. No, it belongs to the airline. So after the duty is over, he may take selfies, he may take photographs, he may post them on Facebook, but he's not going to take the aeroplane with him. He will not even imagine in his dreams that the aeroplane belongs to him. So devotee also should be of the same consciousness. That the whole material world belongs to Krishna. It is meant for his service. Sometimes we are glorified. Sometimes we are given facilities. So we can use them. But understanding very well that everything is for the purpose of Krishna. So if we have to wear opulent clothes and travel in opulent automobiles for the sake of preaching, is perfectly acceptable. But we should not be doing those things. We should not be accepting them for our own gratification. Otherwise, we'll become victimized by Maya. Yukta Vairagya. That is the meaning of Yukta Vairagya. Hare Krishna. Is any questions?
Prabhuji, can you please explain the one that you're saying, Isha Vasa Idam Sarvam?
So, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tyaktena Vanjita Ma Gadha Kasvid Dhanam. So, Isha Vasyam Idam Sarvam, everything in this world, everything belongs to Krishna. One should take only as much as is allocated for him, knowing fully well to whom it all belongs. That's the translation of this verse. So, you see, we need something for our sustenance. We need to live in a house, we need to wear some clothes, we need to eat some food. So that is allocated to us. But suppose we start hoarding, okay, now I'll buy all the wheat in the market, or I'll work very hard and I'll buy the biggest car. Then all that is, that is atyahar. Because it belongs to Krishna, it is not meant for us. So therefore, that kind of hoarding becomes atyahar and it binds us to the material world. Everything belongs to Krishna. We should take only as much as is sufficient to keep the body and soul together.
Thank you, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, what is the source of this verse?
This is the first verse of Ishopanishad.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, Anandam Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Dandapranam. Like you are saying that you are guiding us that one, if is endeavoring too much for gaining something, so that will be source of misery and attachment. So, like a practical case, if some devotee is there and he works day and night very hard, he's just able to balance 4 regulative principles and chanting, but he's working hard and more is working hard so that he can get suitable resources so that he can educate his children. and there is another set of devotees who is already blessed with good resources. So for him to educate his children is very easy.
Hmm.
So how is it little different, and how is in this cases it is attachment, or it is going to be a problem in their spiritual lives?
So what's your question, Prabhu?
It's about a practical case study, Prabhu. It's like we can say two families. One family is quite well to do, and to attain some of the basic necessities very easy for them. Another family is really the the person, the leader of the family has to work hard, or the entire family has to work very hard, save a lot, and then they can really help their children to get good education, or they would like to send their children abroad. Whereas for the first case, it was very easy for them to get this Western education or foreign education. So what would be the difference, and what should be the guidelines according to Bhagavatam, or the pure devotees? What is the real guidance like? Because things which they see becomes different in different situations.
Hmm.
Like for some, it is a really hard work, and for some, it is just a part of the routine thing. It is not a really anxiety for them. So, is everything going to be an equal sort of attachment, and will be a hurdle in their spiritual life, or
Yes.
or if it is only when we really work hard and try to attain the necessity of life, then it becomes a real hurdle.
See, Prabhu, there are very subtle shades of Maya. Very, very subtle. Maya is not even gray. There are no 50 shades of Maya. There are 550 million trillion shades of Maya. Maya will simply, cover us in so many ways. The beggar on the street who has no money, whose children are crawling in mud, he loves his children as much as a billionaire or, Mukesh Ambani. Everyone. That's Maya is just attacking everyone in different ways. This affection is existing everywhere. What we have to understand is what is the way in which we get out of this Maya. So yes, it is a desire, the prayojan of marriage is having children. So children, naturally, as soon as there are children, one will become attached to them. That is very natural. So what do we do then? How does a devotee progress in such a situation? Simple thing is, one has to understand who should be the object of our affection. If you can send your child to America to study engineering and whatever, well and good. If you can't afford to send your child and he has to work as a laborer, well, that is also well and good. Both are just attachments only. We have to understand the process by which one can become free from this attachment. So you see, like for example, in the previous ages, this is actually covered by, there's this lecture which I have shared, I think twice on this forum, devotion in family by Keshavanand Prabhu. This is last year's lecture he has given. In fact, he has covered the whole topic in that lecture. And there is Dr. Lakshmi Tatacharya. He has also spoken very nicely on the same subject matter. So Dr. Lakshmi Tatacharya is from Sri Sampradaya. He passed away in 2020, I think. So you see, the point is, out of attachment, one becomes a grahastha. Out of attachment, one has children. Out of attachment, one takes so many responsibilities. But as one starts progressing in bhakti, it doesn't matter whether one is a married man with 3 wives and 40 children. Doesn't matter. As soon as he starts progressing in bhakti, he will experience some detachment. If he's doing bhakti nicely, he will start experiencing some detachment. So what is the sign of that detachment? That will be manifesting in his activities. See, in the previous days, even in the times when we were children, our parents are not hanging on to us all the time. I don't remember my father or my mother playing with me. But today it's like a natural thing. Even devotees are playing with their children for 2 to 3 hours a day and, taking them to kindergarten, dropping them in school. Well, nothing of that sort. School bus used to come, my mom would just drop me there and I would just go to school, board the bus and go. That was it. Nobody would come to pick me up. I would just come by bus and reach. That was it. Simple. Even small children used to do the same thing. So the point here is that, we have to develop this detachment. So many of our activities are actually just pushing this attachment further and further. If a child needs education, he can just get some education. India is a pretty developed country. Why the child needs to go to US to take some engineering degree? What's the problem? What is he going to do in US? See, these Western countries, they are very degraded, extremely degraded. You can't even imagine, you can't estimate the level of their degradation. You can see from outside, but here, like in India, I will tell you, like I was working in so many companies. Many of my colleagues were Muslims and Christians. Even they had a very high standard of morality as compared to the Hindu Indians in the West.
Yeah.
So you see, in India, anyone who has taken birth in India is inherently moralistic. They have very high degree of morals. Even though we may see that India is degrading very fast, but India is still quite pure as compared to the West. So why should a devotee aspire to send his children abroad? It's of no advantage to anyone. One may acquire a good polished degree, but he'll also become a very polished Shudra. He'll be an expert in illicit sex, meat eating, gambling, and intoxication. So devotee should not take such chances. He has missed his chance by not remaining a brahmachari. At least he should give a chance to his child to become a brahmachari. Why is it that our grahasthas are so scared of sending their children to ashram? Why? What should be the fear? But why should a devotee fear that? In fact, a devotee should gladly send his children to ashram. He should know that he has himself committed a mistake. He should not repeat that mistake. If the son is showing inclination of being a brahmachari, he should send. Because if a son becomes a brahmachari, he'll at least deliver 3 generations. If he becomes a madhyamadhikari, becomes an uttamadhikari, he'll deliver 10 generations. So you see, that is the glory of devotional service. What will the son do? I am maybe 60 years old. My son is 30 years old. He's an engineer. What am I to gain from him? No father will ask his son for money. Okay, father, okay, son, I educated you. Now please pay me some 30,000 euros per day. No, nobody asks for such things. This is just a matter of prestige. Oh, my son is living in US. He has a beautiful wife and he has 2 children. So what? So what? You are not living with him. He's just a concept. You might as well look at Akash Ambani and think that he's your son and feel proud. It's the same thing. Akash Ambani doesn't care for you. Your son doesn't care for you. Here you may have some talk on some WhatsApp video call or something. But beyond that, there is nothing. There is no physical affection there anymore. So this is just an illusion. On the other hand, if your son becomes a brahmachari, generations will, your forefathers will come and bless you for having given birth to such an exalted soul. You will receive blessings of so many ancestors because you will become the cause of their deliverance by giving birth to a pure devotee son. So that a devotee at least should understand. So you see, a devotee, so speaking on a more practical level, a father should just care to educate the son with proper morals and some basic material education and see to it that he has a great character. Actually, every father in ISKCON should take the example of Gaur Mohan De. Srila Prabhupada credits his devotional service to his own father. He says, my mother wanted me to go to London to become a lawyer, but my father did not want me to go and become a meat eater and a woman hunter. He wanted me to become an exalted Vaishnava. Therefore, he arranged for so many processes to develop me. He taught me Vridanga, he taught me Kartal, he taught me so many things. He always arranged for some sadhu to come and bless me. So you see, that's how a father should be. Father should be extremely worried about the devotional life of his son because the son will attain materially whatever is destined for him. My uncle was a colonel, another uncle was a captain, commodore in the Navy. My father was a scientist. I became an engineer. Now I am an analyst. So it's all our destiny. My father wanted me to become a physicist, but I became an engineer. That's a different story altogether. So everyone has his own karma, his own destiny. But bhakti is not in destiny. That has to be created. So a father should create sufficient pious credits for the son to become a pure devotee. And in case of daughter, find a virtuous husband to marry her off. That's the duty of parents. It's not the duty of parents to take their children to water parks and theme parks and cinema and keep them happy. No, that's not their duty. They may do that, but most important duty is to ensure that the children become pure devotees of Krishna. Otherwise, the parents will suffer. It may sound very theoretical or something, but it's not. It's very easy. It's very easy. The son will acquire some material education by his will, by his destiny. He will attain some occupation. He will be able to earn something, maintain himself. Krishna will sustain him. But he should focus on bhakti because that will not be so easily available. Does that answer your question, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. It was very straightly told. We actually read many times, many times, and hear so many times. But when it comes to in our own practical life, we take these things very lightly. I think that only on the strength of our sadhana we can do everything in our own life. Actually, sadhana with our slow detachment is the clue, and depending on the mercy of the Lord and the parampara, of course, that is there. But first is strong sadhana backed up with simultaneous detachment. Okay, because we think that we are chanting very nicely and we are following the four regulative principles, and we still keep on piling up our attachments, and we plan so much for our own stability, for our material good of our children. But then neither we nor they progress spiritually. It's like a stalemate type of situation, a constant graph which is just there. It is just a sign of, like in management it is said that if there's a constant graph, it is a sign of decline only. There is a very rare chance of progress. Like that word is that phrase is that to be hot or cold, but to lukewarm is not digestible. So we see amongst our devotee circle nowadays, this in spite of reading, hearing, chanting, strong inclination to progressively increase our quality of spiritual life is very less, and somehow we are very satisfied with the things which are going in the comfort zone.
Yeah.
So, and to an extent, to add to the complacent, okay, anyway we cannot make it in one birth, so definitely we may have to take many births. In that way they are actually being complacent also.
No, that's very dangerous. That's very dangerous. Srila Prabhupada himself has said that if you miss this particular birth, this particular chance, you don't know what is going to happen in the next birth. You don't know. It's very dangerous.
Feeling sad that in this birth we are not able to do much, that is one mood. Another mood is just giving this excuse that we may take many births, and being complacent that, oh, I am satisfied with whatever is happening now. This is okay. This much bhakti is only there for me in this life. And yeah, of course, we may be on a constant graph or something, and we may feel one is feeling bad and another is just supporting our own emotional quotient, saying that okay, यही करेंगे अभी बस ये जन्म में इतना ही काफी है. So there is a difference in the mentality actually.
Yeah, that's complete nonsense. That is suicidal. If one thinks like this,
very sorry to hear, but many of our counselors are started going with their children to movies, showing mundane movies, not even educational movies, mundane movies. They say we'll give company to our child. Anyway, they will not hear to us, so they will go with their friends. So rather we become friends with them and we start watching movies, and they already started. So this is what counselors are doing with their children. So what standard they are going to set in the name of taking care of children? This is what is being the standard we set. And then some of our God brothers are planning so much out of the capacity of the child, they want to make them doctors and engineers just because that will make them very financially stable. It's, yeah, as a parent, we need to plan, but that's so much of extra endeavor. I don't see even my parents doing for me. And I would have never respected if they had done like that for me. Too much of planning for me or children. I mean, I would have lost the respect. He made, I'm at least a little bit proud that, okay, my father made me self-reliant to a certain extent. But this is too much atiyar, we say, na, this is directly being seen. Some things are told in the book, but we are crossing the book limits also nowadays, theoretically.
Yeah,
In
that's sad.
devotee marriages, especially bride and bridegroom, both devotees, initiated devotees or going to get initiated devotees. In their marriages also, they are celebrating the Sangeet and playing Bollywood, Hollywood music, and there all the senior devotees also dancing for giving, and the pretext is that this will give them happiness, because we dance, then they'll become happy. I said, what nonsense is this? So this is the standards that we are leading, all dualistic actually.
That's
One
sad.
side we say we need to aspire for simple life based on values and following our sadhana very strongly, and they may be doing that, and other side is they are doing all these things. So I feel like it is that very much like the elephant bathing and then sprinkling with wet mud. And we many times give this example, but we end up doing the same thing. Elephant having a bath and dusting it with mud. Same thing. Many of us are doing the same thing. So then we'll be in that, will not be a progressive spiritual path, and therefore the zeal is not there. Zeal to preach, the zeal to go back to Godhead in this life only. At least a desire, deep desire. It is definitely impossible. It's seemingly impossible now. But the deep desire, where is the deep desire? No talk about it. When devotees meet, they're not talking about how do we make it this birth itself. So that's fire is not there.
Yeah, that's a bit sad. I mean, I know Maya is very strong. It happens to the best of us. But yes, we should evaluate our priorities. Like Kishan Bro was explaining, like in the olden ages, parents would just neglect their children in the sense that they would just send the child to school. The child would come and play. Nobody was buying PlayStation for a child. Nobody was buying the latest clothes or anything. Like even in my childhood, I remember we used to just get some tailor stitch clothes. Once a year during Diwali or during some birthday, we'd just get some new clothes and that's it. Mostly would wear the clothes from our elder siblings and that was it. And the rest of the time, simple toys, something to play with, just to play on our own. They would just give us some guidance in matters related to education. They would just tell us to study 1 or 2 hours a day, and that was about it. That was about it. So, but today we see that parents are virtually made to obsess over. I've seen when I was working also, so many times schools are telling parents to spend quality time with children, entertain them, educate them. That is quite nonsense. That is just increasing the affection more and more. That is exactly what Bharat Maharaj is experiencing right now. So we are also like becoming more and more attached. School will tell you, okay, there will be a parent-teacher meeting every week. You have to go and meet the teacher. The teacher will update you on the progress of the child, and the teacher will tell you what has to be done. Then you have to come and do the homework. I remember in my workplaces, because I was an engineer, I was asked to do homework for at least 3-4 kids. Sometimes it was how the ocean tides work, sometimes how engines are working, how trains work, how windmills are working. So these kind of things. So these homeworks were actually, this homework was actually designed for parents and not for the child. So this is the level of nonsense that is going on in our society at large, India, West, everywhere. So we have to be very careful. As devotees, we should ensure that our children are getting valuable spiritual education. Like here in the West, I had one godbrother here, and his son was 7 years old, and they started sex education in his class. The devotee was trying to give brahmachari principles, and the child started learning sex education. That's it, finished. The sanskaras will become deeply ingrained. Jivatma in the material world is naturally inclined towards sex life. If the school starts teaching it at a time when he should not be knowing it, he is already being pushed down the slippery slope. How will he be able to even understand the principles of brahmacharya? So that's the sad reality of our society. So it's going to happen in India also. I believe that some very posh schools are giving sex education in India also. So that's the danger of mundane society.
Reproduction chapter is very well placed, even already in 6th, 7th standard. So
you see.
the children are directly kept aware about all the things. So
6th, 7th standard. That means the age of
so
around
as
12, 13.
teachers of science, we may feel uncomfortable, but we have to make the children comfortable to know all these things. And even this is being educated in ISKCON society as well, that people have to be made aware very nicely, because we need to protect the consciousness of the children, so that all the concepts of good touch and bad touch, all these things are being promoted, okay, at the very highest of the levels, because of child abuse being becoming very common. Out of that fear, we need to educate all these things, is what is being told. But I don't know what is correct and what is bad. But definitely, it will definitely affect the consciousness of both my male or a female child, because that's not the right time to know about all these things.
That's really sad.
Yeah. So as a if you are teaching a subject of science, then you may become uncomfortable as a devotee to tell these things in open class, but then that's there in the curriculum and that is asked in the exam. You'll have to tell all these things for small children, 6th, 7th standard, 8th standard children.
It's really sad.
And in all this going on, we feel, oh, no problem. Our children, devotees, well said children, when they have options, both parents very nicely educated, they can homeschool their children also. But then we will very openly send our children saying that, oh, finally our children need to get the exposure, and then they will get wrong association. Then they are okay with all these things. Devotee children, in the nights, they are continuously playing games and watching animes and everything. So it may sound anime or animations, but these are very gross level type of animations, not like Tom and Jerry that we used to see in our childhood. They have all the emotions of love and everything, mundane love and everything, but they may see like an animation serial. That's all. So very, very gross. Children are exposed to both devotee, non-devotee. Both children are exposed for this. Very difficult, actually.
Yeah, non-devotee society is lost anyway. Actually, being grasta in Kali Yuga is a suicide. One may think, oh, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says everyone should be a grahastha. But, there is no grahastha ashram. There is no grahastha ashram. One should be very, very particular. You should be very, very careful. There is no grahastha ashram left now anymore. Things are so weird. Grahastha ashram means continuous recitation of holy names in the house.
So it's like, so now we are married, then wherever we are, from there we have to strictly focus on our spiritual life. If we are married and having children, then also whatever stage we have to be very strict, very focused to our aim. Even if we are slightly complacent, or we are saying okay, because Bhagavad Gita says that whatever progress we made in this life, from next life we will be continuing from there. So if we take these, so these are actually hope-giving verses, but devotees, if they take these verses for a pretext that what we have done till now is good enough and we'll continue in the same way till the end of our life, then the chances are that we may fall down from our standards only.
Yeah. So,
to motivate each other, drag each other to a certain extent also. And if
Yeah,
somebody is
but-
there to do that, then we should not feel bad that somebody is telling us the harsh reality. If somebody is trying to pull us out of this, then we should feel that, okay, I am such sluggish person. So at least somebody is so caring to take us out. What is the use of all those sweet words which we cannot progress in spiritual life?
Yeah, so we have to be very particular also while we are associating. And this is a particular problem I have seen with preachers also. Don't associate too much with those who are too materially attached. So, because our own consciousness will start getting spoiled. At first, we'll be irritated by their attachment, but then gradually the same feelings will start arising in our own hearts also. You know, when we see others enjoying their lives materially, then we also have a desire to enjoy it. That's the reason why most devotees are falling down. I mean, back in the days when I joined the temple,
Agreed with this point, Prabhuji. This is the main point. When senior devotees and ideals are not keeping the standards, the others actually feel like, okay, if they are doing these things, so why not we also try our best to achieve those things what our seniors are doing.
anybody, it doesn't matter. If a devotee is not very focused on devotion and he looks at his neighbors and relatives, he'll fall down there also. Everyone. That's how actually devotees fall down. This is what happened to Bharat Maharaj also. We pay attention away, we take our attention away from Krishna. Then we become victims. So we have to stay away from all of this. We have to stay totally away from all of this. So in the olden days, in our movement also, Grihasthas would stay away from materialistic people. They would do their jobs, do minimum, and then they would come back. But gradually because Grihasthas were associating with each other, gradually everyone falls down. Grihasthas must have the association of renunciates. Brahmacharis and sannyasis are essential in our society. They are vital. They're like antibiotics. They destroy the germs of, materialism in our consciousness. Brahmacharis are like the real doctors of our society. So we must associate strictly with brahmacharis and sannyasis. And we should make sure that they are also not talking things to please us. Sadhu should speak words that hurt. That purifies us. Okay. So we stop here today, maybe. We continue tomorrow from text 14.
Mhm.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna,
Thank you, all
thank
the
you.
devotees.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavats Pranam.
Thank you so much for